Africa and the Western Europe. The empire was conquered by the Roman army. The Roman army was an extremely effective fighting machine. The lowest rank in the Roman army was the legionnaire. There was 4,800 soldiers in a legion. There was 480 soldiers in a quarter. A quarter was made up from 6 centurions. Each centurion had 80 soldiers and not 100. 8 soldiers shared one tent. The Roman army uniform was very effective to protect most of the important body parts without compromising their ability to fight. The most simple armor was called mail. The mail provided some protection against the enemies, as the legionnaire explains.
I'm wearing a mail shirt for body protection, and you can see it's made of small individual pieces of metal which are fashioned into rings and then linked together. Its biggest advantage, of course, is to take slashing blows across. Because the mail links all sit together, if an enemy hit me with a sword in a slashing way, it would actually take the blow. The disadvantage of mail was that it doesn't in fact take a stabbing at all. If you stab through the mail, the point of the sword will actually pierce the rings.
Another armor was made up of iron plates. It was strong but difficult to put on by yourself. The legionnaires had to help each other. Another part of the uniform was a helmet. The helmet was protecting their heads from enemy strikes.
You can see it's a round bowl protecting the top of my head. Round because it's got very good glancing blow action. A square helmet would take the blow, whereas a round helmet, the blow would glance off. Large cheek pieces to protect the side of my face, and a small neck guard at the back to actually take an overhand blow protecting the back of my neck. Now, obviously, you can see there's no covering on my face or on my ears, in fact. And the Romans decided that it was a lot better for a soldier to be able to see around him and hear orders, very vital in battle.
The Roman shield was curved. By being curved was providing protection not only in front, but also on the sides. The Roman army was moving in formation with their shields up in front. The javelin was one of the most important weapons in the Roman army. Once the javelin was thrown, it could not be used again.
The great thing about the Roman javelin is, when you threw it, the enemy couldn't throw it back. These are delivered in volleys of hundreds. As they rain down, the hard iron tip will punch through the armour. The weight of the handle will bend this soft metal shank. It'll be useless, you can't throw it back. Your shield is useless, you're probably hurt, you're in big trouble.
The most important weapon in the Roman army was the Roman sword, or gladius.
Very much a close-quarter weapon. It's much shorter than you would envisage a sort of a medieval broadsword to be, because it actually is much shorter. It's designed with a very broad base, tapering to a very, very sharp point. Now, the idea of this weapon was purely to stab. The soldier was trained to actually stab into an enemy soldier, mainly in the stomach area, because of course there's no bone for it to actually get jammed in, and of course a quick stab and withdrawal will put him out of action one way or the other. Now, the soldier was trained not to use an overhand blow, but purely a stabbing action. In the modern way, a soldier uses the bayonet, really.
The thing about this Roman sword is it's shortened to the point, and it's used for stabbing rather than slashing.
The barbarians, their swords aren't like ours. They're long and broad, and it's all an ego trip on the battlefield, slashing around above their heads, all style, that's all it is.
And while they're doing that, it's up and under stabbing to the ribs, and so we make mincemeat of the barbarians.
One of the ways to improve fighting skills was through training. The Romans were using wooden swords for training. Each centurion was responsible to train their own soldiers. Training included carrying heavy weapons to build their muscles. Their training weapons were a lot heavier than the real weapons. This way they were getting stronger. The Roman army were not only good at fighting, they could also build bridges and other structures. One of these amazing structures is Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian was a Roman emperor from 117 to 138 AD. He inherited a large empire reaching the north of England. He was famous of building the Hadrian Wall in the north of England to protect his empire from the barbarians. Construction started in 122 AD and was completed in 6 years. Another reason why the wall was built was to demonstrate how powerful Rome was to be able to build a giant wall in the middle of a country. At various points, castles were built 1.5 miles apart. Along the wall, a total of 14 castles were built, accommodating up to 1,000 troops each. The wall was 6 meters wide and 3 meters high. The length of the wall was 120 kilometers, and this was a remarkable achievement. During construction, improvements and changes were made. No obstacles stopped the build of the wall. The wall was built even over bridges. The Romans built everything that they required, from a well for drinking water to a fort to protect themselves. The location of the wall was planned carefully. The wall was built next to the trench, which gave it a better defense advantage against the Kurds. Nowadays, most of the wall has been dismantled, and the stones were used to build houses and other buildings. However, there are still some remains that still are showing the success of the Roman Empire. Thank you for listening to my Roman project.